not even a quarter of the island. So when the island will be secured, we don't
know. My name is Harrold Weinberger. In February 1945, I was non-commissioned officer in charge of a group of Marine Corps photographers who documented the savage battle to take Sulphur Island, in Japanese, Iwo Jima. At the time, our still photographs and motion pictures were used primarily for gathering intelligence. Today, the images recorded by these brave and talented Marines remind us of a brutal conflict of nations and men. With us at Iwo Jima were a number of Marines who bore a designation not heard of before the Second World War. They were called combat correspondents. Most had worked as journalists or photographers with major newspapers, magazines, newsreels, and radio stations. They enlisted in the Marine Corps, went through the Corps' rough boot camp, and, if they made it, were promoted to sergeant and sent to the front. For the Marines, that meant the Pacific. Together, our combat correspondents and photographers saved for future generations pictures, words, and sounds of a single battle which cost the American family almost 25,000 casualties, including 5,885 dead. In early 1945, we had to have this island. Since our capture of Saipan and Tinian, the Army Air Force had developed them into the largest and most strategic air bases in the Western Pacific. The Japanese homeland was now within range of land-based bombers. Our planes had been bombing prime military targets around the clock, day in and day out. Flying north from the Marianas, Japanese fighter planes based on Iwo Jima would intercept our bombers or cripple or knock some of them out of the skies. Over Japan, fighter planes and anti-aircraft batteries would inflict more damage. Many wounded bombers were lost at sea, unable to make it back to the Marianas. If Iwo Jima were in our hands, some of the crippled warbirds would have a safe landing place and be saved.
That beach is a scene that is difficult to describe. As we told you, it's all black sand. It's a very steep beach, so we were able to go right in and drop the ramp on the land. Just off the bow of our ship as our ramp was down were these Marines stretched out for cover behind those terraces we told you about earlier, and also wounded men lying on stretchers and some not on stretchers, waiting for aid to be given them and waiting to be evacuated to the hospital ships, which are lying out beyond us, out of range of this artillery and mortar fire. Not one but hundreds of men crouched down there behind those terraces, and not one but hundreds of wrecked machines, jeeps, a couple of wrecked tanks, Amtraks, all sorts of equipment scattered and strewn around helter-skelter. It's a sight that is difficult to describe, as we said, and it's typical of what's going on there this morning. And that is a very hard, difficult, tough fight.
D-Day was Monday, February 19, 1945. The Japanese were well aware of the military value of Iwo and had turned it into the most formidable fortress our armies had ever faced. The military defenders consisted of 23,000 hardened, battle-experienced veterans of the campaigns in China.
You heard the sound like the flutter of birds' wings in the background. That was the sound of a mortar shell or an artillery shell that went over our heads here. And we sort of stopped for a while to look around and see what the reaction of these other men were to see if they could spot where the thing was going, whether it was necessary to dig ourselves into the sand even farther, but obviously it's gone by. They say that the ones you hear you don't have to worry about.
Tuesday, February 27, was our worst day for casualties, 800 of them. The next day, Wednesday, February 28, was my wife's birthday. I was sad that I could not even phone her. It was also the 10th day of our landing and battle. I was approaching a machine gun emplacement manned by 3 Marines 50 yards ahead of me. I heard the wobbly whine of a spigot mortar above the roar of the other battle sounds. That sound had a broken rhythm to it. It's for you, it's for you, it's for you. I dove headfirst into a shell hole, heard the mortar burst, was showered with debris, and kept my eyes shut tight. When no longer showered with dirt and rock, I opened my eyes, cautiously looked up then toward the gun emplacement. My God, it had been a direct hit. There was no sign of life there. Dust and smoke still hovered over the spot. I walked to it. 2 youngish Marines lay stilled, partly dismembered, but definitely dead. The third, an older man, did not appear to be badly wounded, but he lay in an awkward position. His right arm was tucked in a cramped position beside him, with the wrist bent backward, showing the palm faced up. I knelt by him, straightened the arm so it rested gracefully and comfortably by his side. I felt for a pulse at his wrist and at his temple. There was none. I studied the man. He was built like me. He had a number 3 on his back, a sergeant like me. He appeared to be about my age. Perhaps he too was a retread. He was wearing a plain gold band on his 4th finger left hand. A married man like me. Perhaps he had children. They were orphans now. I was an orphan. This was my brother man, my brother Marine. And there, but for the grace of God, lay I. Looking upon him, I saw myself. My eyes teared. His body had become mine, and I was crying for myself, crying for the anguish that the news of his death would bring to his wife and family.
We have spotted it in those caves up there on the high ground immediately to our front. Over. Hello, Steve. Hello, Steve. This is Clifford. Over. Hello, Tom. Steve, have you made contact with your infantry yet? Over. Steve, we're up here and can't make it through this damn ravine to our left. We haven't, the infantry isn't around us at all, and right, we're up here. There's a couple of pillboxes. We're getting a hell of a lot of artillery fire. Every once in a while in the background, you can hear the sound of Marine mortars going off. There's a mortar emplacement just a few yards to our left here, and they're tossing shells over the airport embankment into the Japanese troops on the far side.
Every day there had been a constant parade of bombers overhead, northbound for Honshu, southbound for the Marianas. Our division command post was adjacent to the first airfield. Through the rhythmic roar of airplane engines, I detected a discord sound of a sick engine. Looking to the north, I spotted a B-29 limping toward us, smoke pouring from one engine nacelle. I was on the airfield before it landed, and I had the good fortune to photograph the first crippled bomber to land on Iwo. I got close shots and close-ups of the grateful crew, 11 of them, as they dropped to the runway through a forward belly hatch. A young officer approached me and said, "God bless you Marines. We'd never have made it back to Tinian."